Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-event lecture of the International Workshop Learning from Mangunwijaya. My name is Abdul Robi Maghzaya, and I will be your moderator for today's session. Learning from Mangunwijaya is a project initiated by Sally Bello, Moritz Henning, and Edward Kogel from Encounters with Southeast Asian Modernism, in partnership with Putu Ayu Pramanasari Agustiananda and Nancy Goldayuli from Universitas Islam Indonesia, and Avianti Arman and Stiadi Sopandi from Museum Architecture Indonesia. This project is made possible with the support of the German Federal Foreign Office. Before we begin, I would like to extend a special greeting to the family of Romo Mangunwijaya. We are grateful for your presence, Bapak Bob Sunu, Bapak A. Jakawasana, Bapak Widodo Haryo Mumpuni, and Ibu Sinta Herindrasti, Bapak Stefanus Sularto, dan Bapak Agus Tridianto. Thank you for being here. Now we move on to the main session, the presentation from speaker. Today's lecture's topic is Wastu Citra, a reflection of architecture, presented by the esteemed Dr. Revianto Budi Santosa. We are honored to have Dr. Santosa with us to share his insight and expertise. This lecture marked the conclusion of our pre-event lecture series, which included the life of Mangunwijaya, Mangunwijaya in Germany, architecture and creative process of Mangunwijaya, community engagement in architecture design. After learning about Romo Mangunwijaya's life from childhood to his rise to fame, and understanding his experience while living in Germany that shaped his way of thinking, and delving into the creative process he undertook in his architectural work, as well as how Romo Mangun's thought have inspired the next generation of architects to involve the community in architectural design. It would not be complete if we did not delve deeper into his other works, as expressed in the book Wastu Citra. Most of us may not have been able to witness directly his brilliance in his work during his lifetime, but we are fortunate to still have access to and be able to read his book to study his thoughts. However, what is gained from reading may vary from person to person. Difference in culture, knowledge, experience will result in different interpretation, even when reading the same text. I had a discussion with Dr. Revi previously, where he mentioned the complexity of interpreting one of Romo Mangun's writing. While I felt fine with the text I read, it doesn't mean I'm more skilled than him. However, I'm certainly that an expert of his caliber has a more comprehensive understanding when reading Romo Mangun works that can see things that an ordinary reading cannot. I believe this session will be very interesting because we will hear the interpretation of an expert who is highly cultured, rich in reference, and experienced in architectural practice regarding the same books we have read. To delve deeper into this exploration, let's now turn our attention to our distinguished guest, Dr. Revianto Budi Santosa. He had a formal education background from 3 different universities: Gajah Mada University, McGill University Montreal, Canada, Institut Teknologi 10 November, Surabaya. Until now, he has also been active in various organizations involved in education and culture. Right now, he is head of Master of Architecture program in UII, Universitas Islam Indonesia. He is also chairman of Culture Heritage Preservation Advisory Team, Yogyakarta City, member of Culture Heritage Expert Team, Bantul Regency, board member of Indonesia Architect Association, Yogyakarta, member of the Council for Literature and Information PP Muhammadiyah, Head of Tourism and Culture Division, Indonesian Muslim Intellectual Association, ICMI, Yogyakarta. Board member of Culture Council, Special Region of Yogyakarta. He is also active in writing books like Omah, Membaca Rumah Makna Jawa, Memaknai Tempat dan Menempatkan Makna dalam Toponim di Kota Gede, buku Berkediaman di Simpang Raya, Ruang Urban dan Dinamikanya dalam Ruang Kota, Trust Me, Berarsitektur yang Tak Abadi, Kudus Sepenggal Yerusalem di Tanah Jawa, and Keistimewaan Yogyakarta dalam Perspektif Arsitektur. With his extensive writing on Nusantara architecture and his frequent participation in books discussion, he is ideally placed to uncover the underlying thought within Wastu Citra. Okay, let's extend a warm welcome to Dr. Revi. Hello, Dr. Revi.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, I think
Glad
you're
to join
ready.
this meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, and good everything. Good day. Bonjour. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm really honored and glad to have the chance to discuss with all of you concerning this great book. And I'm also grateful for a generous introduction from Pak Maza, my partner in crime in Mars, Master Architecture Program. Wastu Citra. It's a kind of interesting, but it's pretty heavy book, some 450 pages, especially for the Gen Z generation. It's not easy to comprehend. And as Romo Mangun is a priest, he is also a great writer. So his languages are full of philosophizing everything, and often in a mysterious way or almost arcane choices of words, and with especially presenting in English, because Romo, quote unquote, is playing many words in bahasa Indonesia. So like mengatasi is meaning being above as well as handling properly. So when he discussed about the house on stilts, which is common in Indonesia and Southeast Asia, so he said that the house is mengatasi lingkungan. This means that literally above, not on the ground, and make harmonious relation with the environment. So okay, for the Jew, I think I should start with sharing the screen, and hopefully we will have a good discussion in this. And yeah, when many people discussing about this book, they have their own agenda, and they find that that Romo is related with their ideas. So this book is truly multifaceted. I mean, we can read this in various perspectives, and so I would like to stick as much as possible to Romo Mangun's perspective. What is so interesting, and many people have discovered about Wastu Citra, is Romo Mangun is an author as well as an architect. By the time he wrote this book, I think Father Mangunwijaya already involved in more than a dozen projects. If I'm not mistaken, all of them are church at that time, before he engaged in many type of building. So this book was published in 1988, almost 40 years ago, but it's still relevant in having a fresh vision, which is relevant to the contemporary situation. So yeah, many, especially the nationalists, architect from Indonesia, I would like to say that Rawamangun is defending Indonesian architecture, promoting it to the world. But to my knowledge, the underlying message of Father Mangunwijaya is truly universal. He would like to create an inclusive and universal platform of architecture in which all of the architecture, including the often marginalized Indonesian architecture or Southeast Asian architecture in general, we are discussing in the forum of modern Southeast Asia, have a good position and respectable position in the framework of the inclusive theory of architecture. As I mentioned, Rawamangun is an author, a writer, as well as a priest and practicing architect. But in his book, he didn't mention at all who is he, and he didn't quote any single project that he has designed. So he distanced himself from the practicing architect Mangunwijaya to build the argument on the universal architecture. So in this presentation, I would also restrain myself from quoting or from presenting the architectural work of Rawamangun, because it is that in this way he wrote the book. So even though I attempted many times to put his work into screen, but please, this is not the way Wastu Citra was written. So concerning the universal platform, as I suggest that in the dedicatory page, I think Pak Wing also quote this in a previous session. So he said that buku ini ditulis untuk menghormati para tukang. This book was written to honor artisans and field workers. We are in their particular way, they are the master teaching architecture to me. He humbly positioned himself to be taught by those field workers and artisans. I mean, doing manual works in creating architecture is seen as essential, while we usually regard that architect as the creative being is in a high and in the utmost position. But he reversed that, because every building was built with the involvement of the commoners who are often neglected. So the dedicatory page, this is very first page of his book, clearly mention about the way he put the workers in a STEAM position. And it is very much echoing like the critical theory, especially the Frankfurt School, and Arendt's theories on the distinction between labor and works, and put the value of the works and in a high position to respect those who are creating something wholeheartedly. And looking at the title, Wastu Citra, pengantar ilmu budaya, bentuk arsitektur, sendi-sendi filsafatnya, beserta contoh-contoh praktis. So in the introduction to the cultural knowledge of architectural forms, bentuk arsitektur, their fundamental philosophies and practical cases. So it encompasses from the physical world of architecture, the architectural form. I mean, the main staple in this book is the architectural form, and seeing that with three different perspectives. One is the culture, ilmu budaya. The second one is the philosophy. And the third one is the practicality, contoh praktis. So it is clear here that his vision is universal, that what is intended to present or to build up the argument is related with those three major fields, which encompassing the architecture in a greater sense. And if we look at Rawamangun was active in Universitas Gadjah Mada, teaching there up to 1982. And 2 years after that, I was enrolled in that university. So lucky me not to see him in the campus, because he has resigned from the position as lecturer in Gadjah Mada. And in some parts of the book, he mentioned that this is the accumulation of the thought and teaching materials delivered in UGM. So I would be glad to join a class on paper, I mean, by reading his book. It was published on 1988, but previously in 1980, Romo Mangun has already published a book on building physics or fisika bangunan, pasal-pasal pengantar fisika bangunan. Later it was shortened into pengantar fisika bangunan, or the introduction to building physics, which he regards as it is a Wastu Vidya, or the knowledge about architecture, rather than Wastu Citra, the whole images of architecture. But a book which to me is very much relevant into a very daily activities of our being. So Raga Vidya is religiosity in everyday experience. So he has, as a religious man, explore the religious dimension of our daily, our being actually, from walking, seeing, looking, singing, even sleeping. I love that. But two of the very relevant chapter, Wastu Citra, I think the chapter, the 13th and the 14th chapter, which on the 14th is working. The 13th is somehow different, because in all of the chapters, Father Mangunwijaya referred to the verb. I mean, walking, seeing, looking, and so on. But on the 13th, he put the title as hand, tangan, because tangan is so much complex. Tangan can do many things. So the working of hand is he put that into the word tangan, because tangan or hand might be driving, writing, as well as creating something with a very bodily presence of our extremities. So tangan is very much instrumental in shaping the world, while one aspect after that is working. So working is on the 14th chapter, and tangan was on the 13th. And working is really important chapter in this book, because by working, he regards that working is often seen as derogatory. A nobleman should not work. Only those in the lower classes are working. But in this case, he put that as a divine blessing, that we can do works is a divine act, because God himself is also working in creating the world. So it's very much related with the dedicatory words, in which he praised a lot of the workers, the field workers, those who are engaged with their hand in creating architecture, or creating building, or transforming environment. So here in Raga Vidya, we have a spiritual foundation. Roma established a spiritual underlying of the working. So it is hand activities. I mean, it's very much related with working. So in this situation, I think Raga Vidya really closely related, or strongly affiliated with the ideas developed in Wastu Citra, especially in elevating the architecture as a creation of the hand into the expression of the spirits. So he argues deeply into that view. So to put in the context, I will be very briefly describe this book. Maybe there are many more books related with the ideas. I mean, during the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, there are many ideas in criticizing modernism, trying to find a more inclusive modernism. And I think we may put Romamangun effort within this kind of situation, from Jan Kel's life between buildings, in which Kel appreciated the informal activities around the buildings, which is shaping very much the urban life. And very famous Jane Jacob book on the death and life of great American cities, mentioning the value of American cities, because those planners and builders do not really understand what other commoners are doing in shaping their environment. So she criticizes many paradigms of urban planning as well as environmental creation, which are not related to the real life of the people. While Hassan Fatih fundamentally criticizes the making of architecture, in which she argues and practicing a really great legacy of Hassan Fatih, and which is Romamangun share very much, is the architecture for the poor, because architecture is often seen as the creation for the elite. So we can put both these great men, Hassan Fatih in Egypt, as well as Romamangun in Java, sharing the very much common interest in how to appreciate as well as to raise the status of the poor within architecture, and to pay attention much to them. Creation of many also in shaping our environment. So I put rupture urban space as well as current townscape, in which the creation of the city is a collaborative act among the people. And a very well known, which Father Mangunwijaya himself quoted in some parts of his Wastu Citra, the great Wastu Citra, is Penatutovsky on the architecture without architects. The exhibition of Rutovsky really like a wake-up call of the world to see the beauty and the relevance of the great architecture created by the common people without the involvement of the so-called great architects as the genius to shape the living environment. For the critic is from the criticism is from the Robert Venturi in Complexity and Contradiction in Architecture, in which the sterile expression of modern architecture is just too exclusive, and you would like to put an inclusive platform to involve many. And the house, form, and culture by Amos Ramapot, I think, is often quoted till now. Put the emphasis on the cultural dimension, which is shared very much with Wastu Citra. And the last one is the Genius Loci of Christian Albert Souls, very much inspired by Heidegger. And Heidegger thinking are everywhere in Romamangun's ideas, even though he didn't quote Heidegger directly. So Wastu Citra is divided into 13 chapters, almost a dozen and so chapters, and it's actually really fluid and flowing. So it's hard to structure this book, but I would like to speculate a particular framework so that we can read this book in more structured way, even though it may be counterproductive to the fluidity of the languages that promoted by Father Mangunwijaya. But since this book is pretty long, so I'm afraid that we need to have a kind of structure to comprehend it. Because many people usually quote only the second chapter, Guna Citra, everything is Guna Citra, and all the time. So the other chapter are very much less quoted or discussed. So the first chunk or the first portion of this book is the fundamentals, in which the book deals with the expression language, the way architect to become, or in more fundamental way, is human as the expressing the ideas through languages. And the second one is the very well-known Wastu Citra, and actually Rawamangun goes beyond architecture. The second portion is dealing with the architectural principles, in which this book discusses, is, I think, pretty much focused on the architectural dimension or architectural form, as he put in the subtitle of the book. So we can see here that architecture is the form with cosmological dimension, as the self-orientation, as well as the reflection of the way of life. So we can see the internal world of the self-orientation, as well as the greater macrocosmos of the cosmology, and the lifestyle is kind of relation between those two. And followed by two big portion is the diversity of manifestation. I would like to say so, because in these two cases, the practical examples that he promised in the subtitle are very much explored in with the greatest elaboration. So the first one is the regional diversity of manifestation. I mean, Pada Mangunwijaya structured in put 4 chapters into this field, as India, the Westerners, the Greece, and the Japanese. But to my opinion, we may extend this into unlimited way to China, to Northern Africa, as well as Central Africa, Australia, and many other parts of the world, including Indonesia itself. He didn't put a chapter on Indonesia because he will let the readers to construct the Indonesian lessons on their own. So this is one of the most interesting aspect of this book, as Father Mangunwijaya didn't put real construct of Indonesian architecture, so it's always open to discuss by the readers and those who pay attention to. The fourth part is related with the regional diversity, the thematic diversity, and he put into 3 chapters. One is the relationship between, or the tension between mass and spaces. And the second one is between the calm Arjuna and the expressive Rawana. And the third one is between the stability and the movement. So we may put those two into the matrix. And the last one is the reflection of all, which is, I believe it's very important, but it's really not easy to get into the main idea of this last contemplative chapter. So the fundamentals and the architectural principles stand first, and then we can, as if we have a matrix of regional and thematic diversity. So we have the Indian, the West, the Greek, the Japanese, and so on, to extend unlimitedly. And the 3 topics on the tension between mass and space, between the expression, and between the static and the dynamic of architecture, and the last one is the reflection of all. So these are the main structure of the book. And the first one, as I mentioned, fundamentals and the architectural principles. The expression of language, I think, yeah, this is the most comprehensive part. The most fundamental part of the book, as he promoted, or he put emphasis on the unification between the body and the mind. He clearly against Cartesian division of the body and mind, and put them in unification. So as the phenomenologists would like to promote, he explicitly mentioned Maurice Merleau-Ponty, one of the greatest thinkers in phenomenological strain, as the to build up his is idea. So the body and mind are not two separate entities within one, especially with one dominating the other, as if the spirit will dictate everything that the body will do. So they are united in experiencing and creating the world. In the phenomenological sense, the body is not only a physical entity, but is a critical junction between the microcosmos within and the macrocosmos around. So the first one comes up to my mind in understanding how the bodily experience will transcend architecture beyond pragmatic necessities is the step well, the great step wells of India, in which actually it's architecture driven by looking for water, but in obtaining water and gaining water, they have a very ceremonial and social engagement. I love to see Chambore is the only one I have visited among those great step wells, because people would like to share their taking of the water with their fellow villagers, and they have socialization, and they are very much proud of and grateful to the gift of the water by the Almighty. So they created in a temple-like expression. It's to fulfill their daily necessity, and it was very much inspiring when Thomas Heatherwick designing the vessel in Manhattan in New York City, in which the architecture of walking up and down is become a very much popular spot in New York lately. So this unity of body and spirit in creating the architecture which transcend necessities, I think it's very much instrumental in shaping the Chanpauri stepwell. And in contemporary cases, of course, Blue Crossfield Chapel, designed by Peter Zumthor, I think it's not only the visual aspect, dark and light in this field chapel, but the spiritual experience is shared with the roughness of the concrete and the traces of the burning wood, as well as the temperature within and without, which share so many aspects of this creation. And I think Ramangun also very much inspired by Heidegger by saying that the poetic element dwells. So the unification of the outward of lahir and the inward of batin, our spirits and our body, is like a container, and contain body is the most noble sense. It is space revealing itself. So these creation are transcending pragmatic necessity into a poetic creation, because poem or poetic way is the way to reveal the truth and make presence to the world. So from the mud houses of Hassan Fatih to the very well designed kettle pot of Bauhaus, as well as Vasily Kandinsky chair, they are truly a deep understanding of the material of the body as well as the functionality, and from that it is transcending into a noble creation. And very much quoted, I think this sentences appears in many parts of the book, is the Santo Thomas Aquinas, the great thinkers of the Roman Catholic Church. And Thomas Aquinas said that pulchrum splendor as veritatis. So the beauty is the radiance of truth. So keindahan adalah pancaran kebenaran. Well, truth radiates itself into the manifest expression, so it's the true beauty would emerge. Excuse me for my broken Latin, but I think it is very fundamental to distinguish between the choice of word of Santo Thomas Aquinas and Vitruvius, the great thinkers of architecture, because both share the notion of beauty. Thomas Aquinas used the word pulchritudo, which means a comprehensive beauty, but Vitruvius used the term Venustas, beauty appealing to the senses of physical attractiveness. Is the term that Vitruvius used, but pulchritudo is more comprehensive. So beauty which emanates from the quality of materials, from the workmanship, from the good intention are included in pulchritudo. Well, it's not part of the Venustas. So to understand the beauty, the choice of the word of term in Latin, please, among the audience who may correct my interpretation of these two Latin words, that it is fundamental to distinguish itself from the choice of Venustas in Vitruvian sense. And the most quoted chapter, of course, is Guna and Citra, and it's really hard to translate that. In the book, it is provided the translation that Guna is used and Citra is the image, while the following sentences are elaboration that Guna is not really used. It's far beyond the limited use, and Citra is also far beyond the limited sense of the image, as Guna may include the practical use, but it's also the happiness and also the pride, the confidence is also part of the Guna. And Citra is everything transcending the daily manifestation. So here, for instance, the Loit or the Lumbung granary of the people in Yogyakarta, they only harvest once a year. So the Lumbung or the granary should have the capacity to store the grain in a good condition within 1 year, not only 2 or 3 months. So it has practical use, but it also have social use in a way that it involves many people in storing grain and in handling the rice as the most precious gift from the Almighty. So those are maybe the way the Guna and Citra are interrelated. Guna refers to use, but more than merely pragmatic use. Guna also refers to the service in relation to comfort, but in the most fundamental sense, Guna encompasses all aspects of the improvement of life, and it's really challenging to identify the way life is improved. Guna includes the empowerment, enrichment, efficiency, and effectiveness, of course. So in this sense, Guna is all-inclusive in improving the quality of human life. And this is one of particular example in Kampung Naga, for instance, in which the male part and female part has a different building envelope. The male has the wood plank as the wall, while the female, which is bigger, has, because kitchen include there, has the woven bamboo. And the presence of the woven bamboo is the difference is not only to identify between male and female portion, but also the woven bamboo will let the smoke from the kitchen to let the smoke out easily. So this Guna or the practicality become the social marker of the gender division. And Citra is primarily refers to image, which conveys meaning or meaningful images. But it does not stand in opposition. Citra does not stand in opposition to Guna, but it elevates Guna into a sublime and spiritual level. So Citra is not like mind and body and those who are opposing one another, but it is the sublimation of the Guna. So Citra refers to the level of culture, while Guna refers to the level of skills or ability to solve problems. So the higher expression of the culture will be well explored in the Citra. So Citra, par excellence of dwelling, being the language of noble humanity. And Romo loves to talk about the Minang Rangkyang or granary, which is functioning very well. It is also a very elegant creation, expressing the materiality as well as the gratefulness to the Almighty. And in a very noble sense, the granary is not on the corner, on the back corner of the house, but is placed in front as if a kind of monument, a noble monument to celebrate the blessing of the Almighty in the form of a good harvest, and it also creates social bond. So the Citra here, he identified into details from the position of the column to the curvy roof, which contributes to the elegance and functionality of the granary. So this is Citra. So he said that in Confucian sense, Le Corbusier said that le maison est machine à habiter, a house is a machine for living in. It's in the level of guna, but to improve or to elevate into the level of citra, one should make some aesthetic and sublime expression of the house. And a great example of which is the Città Terminal, designed by Fazlur Khan of Skidmore Owings Memorial, in which Khan uses the most primitive form of architecture, of course, with most advanced technology necessary for the handling passengers and aircraft. So the Citra of the tent structure is elevated into the noble status of modern architecture, which is most advanced, and serving in a very flexible and effective ways of handling millions of pilgrims to the Holy Land. So the Hajj terminal is a very good example of how Guna is elevated into the level of Citra. The three portion on the architectural principles versus architecture and cosmology, in which the great universe is shaping our architecture. So in this chapter, Father Mangunwijaya say that the mythology and the consciousness of cosmic presence is has a very instrumental but deep underlying in our creation. So the dancing Durga from Temple Singosari, which is recently returned from the Netherlands, has not only has an elegant expression, but it's in a sense animate the whole cosmic. So the great macrocosmos are unified with the inner spirit. He also related this with the religiosity in creating reality and revealing the truth. So in many parts he discusses about the suasana to or the spiritual sense of mosque in many parts of the world, especially in the Ottoman Turkey, and said, what is the difference with the church? No, nothing is different. So those are very much interrelated. Here I put the Hagia Sophia to the left, which is constructed as basilica or a Greek church, and Suleymaniye, which is since the early construction as created as the mosque. And we may compare between the atmosphere as well as the architectural space which are created by these great Abrahamic religions. And Roma is quite well versed in quoting from the Islamic tradition. I think Muslims should read this in a deeper level, while because the last among the last verses of the Suratul Fussilat, it's expressing that the truth is revealed within in yourself, as well as in the great cosmos, in Africa, in the horizons. So this verse is a very strong statement, and the strong combination between revealing the truth from the inner self to the macrocosmic. And he quotes further on the stages of this, from the metaphorical stage of the commoners to the symbolic stage of the selected few, and the hidden meaning of the lovers of God and God's love him, and the divine essence stage of the prophetic stage might reach this. So the great expression of light and lightweight construction in the medieval church are also emanates from the understanding of the divine within, as Abbé Suger discussed in his creation of Saint Denis concerning the creation of the medieval or Gothic church. The second one of this group is architecture and orientation. To orient oneself, architecture has position as a spatial creation and geographical presence. Architecture helps us to orient ourselves. We may orient with the cosmic direction, the solar chart, as well as the constellation of the heaven, but it's also the earthly, or to put in the Greek word as a tonic orientation. The mountain, the river, and the landscape, our surroundings are very much interrelated with our architecture, as well as bodily representation. Our body also have front, back, left, right presence to shape. We carry our body to orient ourselves, as well as to put the surroundings into orientation, and bodily experiential in a spiritual sense. So the center and the vertical orientation is extend horizontally and transcend vertically. So the supremacy of the center is strongly expressed here. The last part of this is the architecture as the reflection of way of life. Like this one is the Japanese here, Romo discussed at length, as essentially they are farmers, so they create the house as the agricultural shrine. The most noble part is dedicated to Sri, or the spirit of agriculture, while the owner of the house or the other inhabitants might sleep everywhere. As long as we secure the noble place of the agricultural blessing, then the world is well ordered. So the livelihood, and the society are very much interrelated in this kind of discussion, because lifestyle doesn't necessarily mean like personal choices randomly driven by consumerism, but it's embedded within the culture. So here we see many cultures in Indonesia which put granary into a central position within their settlement, and above is the living space and granary, and in the middle is the become the platform for socializing, and the ground is extended into the entire settlement. The life and nature is also strongly related. Here the discussion is a bit difficult, as I mentioned. Mengatasi is being above, as well as handling the issues properly. So I would like to compare between those two different cultures, but sharing the expression of the relation with nature. One is the Dayak Tumbang Gaku great house, long houses in Central Kalimantan, and the other one is La Ville Savoye by Le Corbusier. And this has tripartite division, above, middle, and below. And below is always related with the pragmatic use, and the middle is the living space in which the way family our people are organized and sharing life there. And above is the field of expression, religiosity, and spirituality. So even though Rabil Sawung is created in a secular world, but they are interrelated in a sense of the upper world being the world of the expression of the symbolic expression. The middle is for the daily life, and the bottom is for their pragmatic purposes. But lifestyle change, so the world is also changed. In many noble houses in Java, we can see such phenomena. Here is in the case of Jayakusuman's princely house in Surakarta, in which the central portion is the house as a domestic shrine of the agricultural spirits, as our ancient ancestors did in representing the way of life of the farmers. But contemporary noblemen are not very much attached to the agricultural world anymore. They have more industrialized source of income as well as livelihood. So the space of these noble houses are still regarded as relics of the past. They keep in a good preservation, but they created house in normal, in contemporary sense, a normal house with Western style, in adjoining to this relics of the past. So they adapt by you can find many cases like Lochen of Sasana Mulia house, as well as many noble houses in Jogja as well. So the tension to create a new house or a new place for the new lifestyle is necessary here. And these are the regional diversity of manifestation. It is interesting that Romo Mangunwijaya chose India, Greek, Japanese. It should be Greece. Sorry, it should be Greeks. Yeah, Greeks, and the Westerners, and what we may extend into Chinese and other Greek culture or in many parts of the world. And learning from India, India has a great expression, but the stance and very strong expression are intended to emphasize that they are not real. The reality is they are Maya or illusion. We should find the true expression of reality. And he praised much on the way Borobudur organized those expression from the level of desire in Kama Dhatu, or the lower part, when the human desire and passion ruled, and on the middle part is the level of form. We may liberate ourselves from the bound of desire, but we are still in the bound of form. So form still govern our perception, our conception, as well as our understanding of the universe and ourselves. We should transcend into the world of non-form, or rupa dhatu, which means the level where there is no form. The formless level is we need to achieve if we would like to gain the highest reality. And yes, there's two notion of the chakra, or the static spot surrounded by the dynamic revolving parts is very much important in underlying the expression of the Maya, or the illusion, and the reality. And Vastu Purusa Mandala, which is expressed in the tension between the male and female spirit, which are unified in cosmic sense, also very strongly a very strong theme in Indian architecture. What is most interesting is when Father Mangunwijaya select the cases to express the way the Indian concept of illusion and true reality. He didn't choose any of the Indian modern works, even though Corbusier at that time is already designing Chandikars and creating the great architecture, as well as Krishna Toshi also started to work, or Geoffrey Powell in Sri Lanka. But he took the Canadian pavilion constructed in Osaka Expo. So the Canadian ideas and Osaka setting, in which he chose the all covered in mirror, are very much expressing the Maya or the illusionary world of the Indian. So in this case, even though he divided the topics into regional, he would like to transcend regionality. So again, the global spirit and universal spirit of Wastu Citra is really strong to overcome the provincial mandate. 50. Yeah, so the West and its philosophy, yeah, it's Western, the progressive spirit of the Westerners, I think very much inspiring in the sense of tension and dynamics within the Western architecture, and the way the Western position himself in the temporal and spatial situation is very strongly related to this view. And I think the most expressive one is in the Guggenheim Museum, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, in which the continuous space as well as the construction of the continuity was very strong here. Interestingly, the Greek was singled out from the West, and even though the title before is the Westerners and their philosophy, more philosophical ideas are exposed here. So the rationalism and the geometric presence of the Greek thinkers, as well as the tectonic expression of the rationality, are apparent in the Greek. And I believe the Richard Buckminster Fuller, as the Greek inventor of the world, is also very much inspired and relevant with those philosophical ideas of the Greek thinkers. And also, more interestingly, Buckminster Fuller often visited Bali and very much loved with the Balinese way of thinking. So with lightweight structure and efficient ways of construction. So in this sense, that Bali has a strong influence to the, if we can develop our architecture into a great discussion, then we may also make in like Buckminster Fuller. Japanese, Japanese would stand in opposition to the Greek, because Japanese is lightweight and it's smooth presence, unlike the Greek counterparts. So many construction concerning the Japanese and the Greek are exposed here. So and the Western would like to see the completion of the whole part, the metabolism spirit of the Japanese modern architecture, the one modern version of Japanese. I think it's strongly expressed here. And the thematic diversities of, while put aside the regional diversity, there are three thematic diversity. The first one is the mass and space, while Romo said that we should have we should be able to handle both properly, and both are the necessary staple of architecture. So the solidity of the mounds, as well as the lightweight frame of the creation of space, are both interrelated. So this mass and space are extended to the urban as well as on the settlement level, and in the physical, functional, as well as spiritual sense. The second theme is the Arjuna and Rahwana, which I don't like. He borrowed, I didn't mention that, but he borrowed the Nietzsche Dionysian and Apollonian construct. Nietzsche discussed that in his book on the birth of tragedy. The drama of the world is the result of the tension between the Dionysian, or the irrational, the chaotic, the instinctual aspect of human nature, it's associated with emotion, passion, and impulses, and the Apollonian of the calm, serene, rational, structured, and orderly aspect of human nature. He said that it's like Arjuna and Rahwana. I think Rahwana has an evil connotation, so I suggest to use Baladewa instead of Rahwana. But the most easy comparison is one is the Arjuna way, is the calm water feel like reflecting the entire universe within its surfaces, while the other one is the wavy, stormy presence of water. So both are waters and with different expression of calmness and strength. So those are the Indonesian and Apollonian, which in architecture and drama, we can have some good comparison here. And it's also in cultural construct and stylistic expression, like the baroque of the dynamic of the baroque and the calmness of the Renaissance. I think the Sankirche of Marchiori and the Vierteinheiligen in Germany, we may compare to. The last one is the theme of staying and moving, like the great Spanish steps in Rome. It's really inviting people to move around. No, it is fine if you are found sitting too long here, so because it is place of movement. So the invitation to move and the expression of to stay in solidity, symmetry, and strength and stability has inspired the monument throughout the ages, from the ancient Egyptian to the contemporary pyramid of Kazakhstan of Norman Foster creation there. And to move is to go along the path as well as to wander around, to scramble, to explore the universe. So the way move is also important, and both we should have. To stay and to move, we should have both. And it's the last chapter. Hopefully, I still have a few minutes left. Is the reinventing the meanings of architecture. So in here is the strongest sense. Father Mangunwijaya promote the word of Wastu instead of architecture, since Wastu not only includes the physical manifestation, but it's also the virtues, the values, the norm, the ethics, which manifest into shapes and form. So the abstract sense is revealed into the world of form. But he also said that architect might be a stapati, acharya, sutradara, and many other actors involved in the creation of architecture. So in this sense, architecture is not the work of a single or individual person, but it's the orchestration of the society. So Wastu is transformative, transforming the world, transforming the self, and a total rebirth or renaissance in a good or inclusive sense. So architecture should not only present, but it's also transform towards the to elevate the noble status of humanities. And Citra should be able to transcend architecture beyond calculable aspect, to have a meaningful aesthetic and not just random, driven by commerciality, and ecological rationality and harmony, which is emphatic and inclusive place. The last image is really challenging, and some, to me at least, it's so much depressing, since it's not only expression of truth, but it's also expression of injustice, of tears, of expression of air mata, duka, penindasan, dan sebagainya. And it is a great challenge for architects to transform this reality into a better life. A very strong word is untuk apa kita merdeka dan berpancasila bila kita tak mampu mengatasi hal-hal yang semacam ini. What for we are being an independent country and having a state philosophy of Pancasila, which is so fundamental in Indonesia, if we cannot change the reality like this, so the very fundamental philosophy should be manifest itself. So if we would like to record the Fulcrum Splendor Veritatis, we have the truth as manifested in the radiant art, that we have material truth expressing this, the bamboo and as well as the soil, the economic truth to create economic justice, the social truth to have an equal society, and the most challenging also as personality truth. He put Jean-Paul Belmondo thesis that architecture should reveal the personality. But whose personality? The owner, the society, or the architect personality? So it's these are among the challenges that I would like to highlight in relationship with this discussion. So the environmental truth and beauty also greatly, and I love the work of Anna Heringer as she with the people of the poor villages in Bangladesh successfully transform their life with the simplest means and make those female poor and disabled person have a noble presence in the society. So it's the last word that I would like to say. The past, as explored and elaborated in the books, give us lessons, but not answer. The answer we should find ourselves. Hopefully, by reading this book, we can have a proper answer for the life. Okay, thank you. Hopefully, I don't take much of the extension. I will return the screen to Pak Maza.
Okay, thank you, Pak Revi, for your insight about Romo Mangun's books, Wastu Citra. Okay, Dr. Revi highlight that Romo Mangun book encapsulates three essential dimensions that we can learn from: cultural dimension, philosophical dimension, and practical dimension. I believe this serve as a framework to help us understand Romo Mangun's books and thought. However, as I mentioned earlier, we may come from a different background with a different understanding. Therefore, it may be important to discuss this further. To stimulate discussion, I would like to invite first Dr. Avianti Arman from the Museum of Architecture Indonesia to provide insight on today's topic. Dr. Avianti Arman, please go ahead.
Thank you, Pak Maza. Yeah, Pak Revi just explained the Wastu Citra book in a very comprehensive and insightful way. So thank you very much, Pak Revi. Well, just a week ago, I visited several of Romo Mangun's or Mangunwijaya's works in Jogja and the surrounding areas, included his own residence, place pilgrimage, churches, hermitage, and an urban village on the bank of Kalichode River. What I saw was the concrete implementation of what Mangunwijaya wrote in the Wastu Citra and how it should be understood and comprehended. The close connection between hands, people, and work, and how the Mangunwijaya architectural practice not only enhance but kind of glorifies working with hands, and also elevates the position of craftsmen and artisans who, as we know, have long been considered as lowly workers. And from his works, we can also see clearly the detail of how the application of what Pak Revi just mentioned in his presentation. That architecture is the creation of the hand and expression of the spirit. And most of all, we can see what it means how to live in a decent manner and how to be human in this world in all of its aspects. So I would highly recommend that each workshop participant read the Wastu Citra book if possible. I don't know how UII can facilitate that before starting the workshop. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
Mute, Pak Maza.
Pak Maza, I think you still mute.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Sit
Thank
until
you,
this up. Yeah.
Ms. Afin Herman, for your insight, mentioning about Jode, one of Romo Mangun works, right? That the proof, concrete implementation of the book. Okay, thank you very much. Next, we also hope for insight from Mr. Setiadi Sopandi, also from Museum of Architecture Indonesia. Okay, please, you can express your insight about today's topic.
Terima kasih, Mas Saya. Thank you very much for your very meticulous peeling out of the book, Mas Revi, because it's very, very detailed, very thorough, and it's very systematic that we can follow it. I just like to have a very short comment about Wastu Citra as a book. It's very influential, I think. I think it's one of the most influential architecture book written in Indonesia and for Indonesian students, I think. I read the book when I was first year architecture student back in early 1990s. And the first thing that came to my mind as a book is actually consists of two important indispensable parts, because it begins as a lecture and was initially presented as a rich and interesting array of images arranged with a concept or a set of ideas in mind by Mangunwijaya, which came out as words or text spoken in classroom. But the most powerful part of the book, I think, is not the text. The first thing about the book, which is very powerful, is actually the array of images, the selection of images, which came to us firstly as a memory, as something that we enjoy at the first time, because it's very rich. I think it's it takes up like more than 60% of the book coverage, I think, because it spans from the first page until the last page. I think the first thing that this could be very interesting to read the book as an influential piece of intellectual work is actually how Mangunwijaya select not only select the sites, but also how he selects the certain kind of images, certain kind of photographs from certain angle to express something about the something beyond the images themselves. And it just not only strengthen the text or whatever that he wrote about that, which can be very widely arbitrary, I think, because the text itself can be very lively in terms of interpretation of the readers. But the images themselves could be very, very widely interpreted by the readers themselves without even reading the text. I think that's a quite important experience to have for the workshop participants, probably, if you haven't encountered the book in English, and probably you will encounter Bahasa Indonesia and also of course the array of images, very rich images, and most of them like coming from so many places that Mas Ravi already mentioned, and also pretty much sourced from the architecture flourish, especially from the West, and also from Japan and from some other places, roughly from the period of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, including much hated brutalism, and also as well as the iconic high modernist architecture, which is very intriguing to see the linkage if we haven't read the text. So if we just read the images, you probably have session of wandering around whatever the Mangunwijaya thinks about these images and these projects and whatever it is, because it's so rich and so diverse. And I think that's the most important part of being an architecture book to be influential. You have to get the attention of the audience with the images, and the way you arrange it, the way you select it is very important and very effective to get it through to the mind of the readers. Thank you so much. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Pak Setiadi, Sopandi. Any feedback, Pak Revi, from our both responders?
Yes, I think both of these expert highlight much about the most bit I might left behind. I mean, from the last one, Mas Chong discussed a lot about how images and text are interrelated. And what is so interesting about this book, I think we can read in 3 different ways. I mean, I can close all the images and I'll read only the text. And I enjoy to observe the images, which is so expressive and meaningful. Or I try to interrelate both of them. I think it's the most comprehensive sense. But the fact that those three ways of reading are very much I think it's very special thing about this book. Even though academically speaking, it's often hard to quote to get a precise meaning when we are producing an academic writing. And but Vivi, I think highlight sharing the interest in that. Yeah, Romo would like to have a universal platform in which the manual workers put in a respectable position as the creator of architecture, in which their works as well as their creation are appreciated properly. So the inclusivity and humanity of this book is a very strong message to convey within the very much globalized and consumeristic world now. It's a criticism to ourselves in practicing architecture as well as in thinking about architecture. Okay, thank you so much for Mas Chong and Mbak Vivi.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting to read the book, not only the text and how it contained Romo Mangun thought, but it's also a lot of images that explain more about. So the reader can interpret for the works, right? I think. Okay, we have 2 questions on chat, Pak Revi, from Nia Abasi and from Zahra Zakia. Allow me to read first, and after that you can respond it. Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. That was so nourishing for me. That's why I would want to ask some question. How can the concept of Wastu Citra be integrated into urban planning and city design to create more harmonious and culturally reflective urban environment? And are there any cities that have successfully implemented this principle? My other question is, how do other art forms such as painting, sculpture, and literature integrate with the architectural principle of Wastu Citra to create a holistic cultural expression? Okay. Second question from Zahra Zakia. Okay, thank you very much for the comprehensive presentation, sir. You mentioned that Romo Mangun wrote his argument about regional diversity of manifestation in Wastu Citra book with some example from outside Indonesia, as he's allowing open discussion for the readers. But different region mean different context. Considering the different context of culture and value between Indonesia and those examples, as well as architect's role to preserve a local value in design, to what extent or limit in with this foreign context can be adapted to Indonesian architecture. Thanks in advance. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pak?
Okay. Yes. Thank you for those two very great and challenging question, which I'm trying to answer. And it's the question itself, I think, it's very much inspiring. Yeah, I will start from Zara, from the last one, since appear earlier in my screen, about the regional diversity. Yeah, Rama Mangunwijaya put the culture as a mediator. I mean, it's in the middle position between the hand and the spirit. So the culture might manifest itself in a very local creation, as it is rooted in a particular physical, social, and spiritual context nourished within one particular place. But a certain dimension of a culture is can be elevated, of course, in a more abstract sense, to inspire the world. I think modern architecture works in that way. We can see modern architecture not as the architecture of the world, but it is actually the architecture of Germany, France, and United States, which is rooted in the dynamics of the industrialization in that place. But the spirit of modernism, in sense of rationality, of orderliness, I think it might be transcended into the global message, so that we feel that we are also modern in many sense. So Father Mangunwijaya would like to promote that kind of view, in which we should be very much rooted in a particular place, but we also have a universal message which might contribute to the world. The problem is the world now is dominated by the Westerners. I mean, their economic and political supremacy dictates the entire world as if they are the master of the world. So that whatever comes from the West is we seen as universal. We don't think hamburger is from Hamburg, because it's universal food. But we think that Karatok is Sunda because it's local. So in the sense, we may have our thinking to position to, again, Roma is providing platform so that we may explore our own culture in a certain level, so that it might have a global relevance or universal relevance, but it's developed into a particular culture. So we may contribute to the world with our culture without necessarily exporting the manifestation or the details or patterns of physical patterns, but with a more fundamental levels. So this kind of relationship between the local development of culture, very local. Roma is very local, but his humanitarian spirit is very universal. So he himself is an example of this vision in which we are invited to join. Yeah, and Rania Pasi, I think it's really hard to respond. There are many examples that Father Mangunwijaya's promote in or discussed in his book. As I mentioned in the last slides that I present, is that the past gave us lesson, but the answer is us. So many of the discussion are from the past, to learn from the past, to have a good vision to the future, and to transcend into an urban level. Romo didn't, Father Mangunwijaya didn't discuss much about the greater level, since it is very much complicated in nature, and maybe beyond the scope of the book. But this doesn't mean that we don't have the creation in more humanistic sense of the urbanity, which has a strong root of locality. And there are many traditional villages and cities, small cities especially. I think you're from Morocco. You have great cities of Marrakesh, Rabat, and many other smaller cities, which still the Medina West is strongly developed in a great local roots. The challenge is how to keep it relevant with the modern reality. So, and there are many exercises. I'm not saying that they are successful, but the effort are plenty. Among them is the Aranya, for instance, in which Indian architects from the Wastu Citra Foundation would like to emulate the social process in Indian township into a contemporary town, and how to arrange the agreement, how to promote the agreement among the people so that they may live together within a particular place. And it's really challenging. For the first 10 years, Aranya is kind of mostly empty because people wouldn't like to develop or to grow in that kind of position of arrangement. But now it's getting more successful, and so it's become exemplary in the world. And the great exercise of Hasan Fatih, unfortunately, the creation was so awesome in the New Gorna in near Luxor, in which Fatih provide and train the local people how to build a small township with the soil, with the locally available materials, and creating a really beautiful place and relevant to the life of the people. But it's not very much supported by the policy of the Egyptian government. So people do not want to say that. But Gorna was still well maintained till now as a example of the effort. And Romo himself, Romo Mangunwijaya himself, writes, besides his exercise on to develop a Chote community, I mean, Chote is Chote Riverbank community is greater than just one or two houses. It's created like a town within a city. But he also mentioned a fundamental aspect of the town in which when the city planning should serve many small people rather than to serve a great investor. And he has the metaphor of anchovy, a small anchovy. We should serve 1,000 anchovy rather than one big whale, for instance. So the way he put the argument of fundamental principles in serving as many people as possible. A great city is not the one that celebrates the most successful member of the city, but it should be able to serve the purest member of the city. So those principles are really inspiring to be developed further, and it's really a challenge for us. And in terms of art, Romo Mangun himself is an artist, especially in, I think he expressed most in Wisma Salam near Magelang, in which he not only designed the church and the community hall, but he also painted the windows and glazes there, and he crafted many parts or many building components into the artistic composition. Romo did not want to isolate painting to the social reality. So artistic creation should be part of the architecture or the transformation of the environment. So if you had chance to go to Salam or to Sendang Sono, I think you may enjoy such principles which is applied into, on the one hand, it is a useful part, it's window, it's shelter, it's station for prayers and so on, but it has the artistic quality. So the integration of art into the transformation of the environment, I think it's the strongest message that Romo can convey in terms of the creation of the pulchritude. Okay, thank you, Rania. And back to Pak Masa.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Revi. We have last question from two participants. First from Pak Agus Tridianto and from Jenny Hairani. Sumbu Filosofi Yogyakarta is the architectural work of Hamengkubuwono I, and it gets international recognition as World Heritage. But most Jogja people do not know the concept and the meaning of Sumbu philosophy. It means that architectural work needs interpreter to understand the concept. Is it correct if I say that architectural work of Romo Mangunwijaya do not need interpreter because the people have enjoyed the architectural work itself? Okay, that's question from Pak Agus Tridianto. Second question from Jenny Hairani. Assalamualaikum, sir. First, thank you for the impressive presentation talking about Wastu Citra. In Romo Mangun book, he explained about integration between culture, philosophy, and environment principle. And he implemented it into his work, which is Gua Maria Sendang Sono. I'd like to ask how to create an enhanced spiritual experience when people visiting to the site as architect. Thank you, sir. Okay, what do you think?
Okay, thank you. Yes, again, there are two great questions and a really challenge for me to discuss. And yeah, the first one is from Pak Agus. It's I always think that city is the work of many. So sorry, I don't believe that it is the single creation of the Hamengkubuwono I. He is a great planner and thinker, but he has his own time and social reality to deal with. I mean, the creation of the heritage. In fact, the document is said that it's cosmological access rather than philosophical access, because it's not only philosophical; its reality manifests itself. So for instance, Malioboro Street is not only a contemplative street. In reality, it's a very bustling commercial street with many shops and activities. So the contribution of the historical development throughout the ages are need to be acknowledged to the accumulation. I always think that it's a kind of branding, so that it might be distinguished from other cities. The access itself is to put in the most physical terms, it's pretty long compared to other. The actual configuration actually are upon in Indonesia. If you visited Tenganan, or the most popular is Panglipuran villages and many villages in Bali, or Nias, which has also strong axial configuration. They are really creator of the axis. But in the urban level, I think Yogyakarta is special. So the axial configuration itself is not limited to Yogyakarta, but the presence in the urban scale, I think, is the most inspiring for us. And it is interpreted by many, including even at the time of the Sultan Hamengkubuwono I himself. Now is the restoration of the fortification of the Jeron Beteng or the Beteng of the Kraton are undergoing. But actually, the Beteng is not the idea of the Sultan. When the Sultan was in his old age, he would like to create another pleasure garden. But the crown prince at that time suggested to the kingly father, why don't we create a defense infrastructure to protect our inner city? And the father agreed with that. So I mean, the settlement first, already established, and then the Benteng came later. So if during the time of Hamengkubuwono I itself, there are many changes of the concept and manifestation, why do we believe that it is fully intact in our time? So yeah, it is understandable that those are just one aspect of the branding of the philosophical axis. Is just one aspect of the creation, but many actors and actions are actually shaping the city center or the urban centers of Yogyakarta. So if we look at the northern portion and the southern portion, I mean, from the palace to the north and from the palace to the south, I think we can see very much different social economic manifestation in those two portions of the axis. So this is my personal understanding of the recently recognized by UNESCO. And yeah, it has some sense that whatever comes from the heart will touch the heart. So the creation of Romo Mangunwijaya are truly touching the commoners. But it's also, if we look at the type of the building that Romo Mangun are involved, are mostly church, in which he has a great understanding, a great involvement, as well as a great authority in shaping the church shape. For instance, among the first church, as well as the most widely discussed and the only creation that Romo wrote about, is Santa Maria Assumpta in Klaten. And if we look at the configuration, I mean, it's really almost subversive sense that the altar, which usually is placed at the center with the strongest or most noble expression, was placed at the corner, at the lowest level of the roof. So Romo makes the altar very much human, rather than emphasizing the glorification of the altar. He glorifies the man and commoners, men and women who are in the human scale, rather than in the noblest scale of the great roof. So yeah, in many cases, Romo has kind of differentiation in that real. And with Makwira, I think it is quite different story, because in that place he was the architect, he was the builder, he was the owner, in a sense that controlling those things. He was also the inhabitants living there. So it's like a complete cycles of the creation, which is quite different from the Arif Budiman's house, for instance. In this case, Romo come as a professional architect designing, and then other people live within. So yeah, I'm very much interested with Mas Erwinton discussion in Kanarijaya's forum on Wastu Citra. Romo never get married, so he didn't much understand about the domestic life and how to handle that. So that in some houses, private houses that he designed, there's some awkward for kitchen and so on because he is not involved. So the involvement in the life as a priest in the church, I think, greatly shaped his creation. One design he didn't want to enter because he provide the first sketch and then
Assalamualaikum,
continue.
Zaki dan Tria.
Sorry, Nancy, your noise.
Yeah, he didn't like that because it's too luxurious for the calon imam or the future priest. So yeah, I mean, it's not automatically that people love it, but even Romo Mangun himself sometimes didn't like his idea, which is continued by other architects. So that's very much human. I think the key is the humanity and the involvement of the people. And Shani into Kuamaria Sendang Sona RWTH, so to create and enhance the spiritual experience when people are visiting the site as architect. Yeah, visiting, I don't know, as architect, what do you mean with as architect, as if architect is different kind of human? Not really human, it's different type of human. But Romo did not provide the design for the elite of the architects. He designed it for the most common level. He put that in the lowest level of society. And like Pak Eko Prawoto once emphasized that Romo never used marble floor because it will make the poor afraid to touch, as if it's too clean for me. So he would like to create something which everyone might feel welcome. How poor are you and how low you are in the society, you are all welcome to the place. So that's he said that he learned a lot from mosque. I mean, mosque is always open and welcomes everyone and serve many purposes, not only for liturgical requirements, but also many social activities might be performed in the mosque. So that the I think in his discussion on Maria Sumta, he said that he would love to have a church as open as a mosque. So yeah, as long as the architect is human and put as emphasis on humanity rather than elevating the status of the elites, then yeah, we may share the spirituality of the place.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Pak Revi, for your response and discussion. Okay, it has been very interesting, and I believe the discussion does not end here, but we can continue during the workshop. I think we still and other change to discuss a lot of things about Romo Mangun work, to be specific. Okay. However, due to time constraint, we must conclude this session here. But as a closing statement, okay, Pak Revi, could you please provide some words of encouragement for the participant as they work on their project for the workshop next month, I think. What can they achieve by reading Romo Mangun books? Okay, short statement.
I would like to borrow Mbak Vivi's word in that architecture is the expression of the spirit and manifested in the working of the hand. So the unification between the spirits and the hand is a real challenge in creating a meaningful architecture, and hopefully the participants of the workshop next month, as well as those who are attending and sharing this occasion, may have the chance to express the spiritual inner feeling, but manifesting in the very worldly material creation of the hand. Okay, thank you.
Ya, oke. So, in Indonesia, semangat untuk peserta.
Ya, semangat untuk peserta.
Nah,
Bersatunya
oke.
jiwa raga kami. Arsitektur
Yeah,
is
can't wait
jiwa
to see
raga
you
kami.
in Yogyakarta. Yeah, okay. Before we conclude, I would like to once again thanks our speaker, Dr. Revianto Budi Santoso, our distinguished guest, and all the participants for joining us today. But before that, I would like to remind participants to join their respective unit master, okay, and groups by online promptly to prepare for the workshop, so the workshop implementation can run more effectively. Okay, we look forward to see you in the upcoming session on the international workshop, Learning from Mangunwijaya. That's all for me. Thank you and have a great day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.